Sometimes, life doesn't break us through great losses, but through the small, almost invisible changes in the people we once trusted the most. The person who used to love and protect you suddenly turns cold. The one who was once gentle now uses silence as a weapon. And you, someone who once believed that love could heal everything, find yourself being hurt by the very person you love. From a psychological perspective, this is a classic pattern of a relationship with narcissistic traits. At first, they make you believe you are special through intense affection, admiring eyes, and words that make you feel chosen. But once they no longer get what they want, their emotions shift with terrifying speed. The anger of a narcissistic woman is not simple irritation, it's an eruption fueled by the fear of losing control. She may yell, cry, attack, or retreat into suffocating silence, whatever it takes to make you react, to make you surrender, to pull you back into emotional submission. And you, the partner of a narcissistic woman, become trapped in a cycle of emotional chaos, lifted to the clouds one moment, dragged into despair the next. You no longer know whether you're in love or simply enduring pain. You keep trying to understand, to forgive, to adjust, but the more you give, the more of yourself you lose. When a narcissistic woman doesn't get what she wants, she doesn't fall apart, she explodes. Every emotion inside her is directed toward one single goal: to regain control. And in today's video, we'll go deeper into that, exploring how a narcissistic woman changes when things no longer go her way, and more importantly, how you can stay grounded, protect yourself, and finally break free from the emotional storm that keeps you captive. At first, when the very first mask begins to fall, that's when you witness their most primal reaction, raw emotion, unfiltered, uncontrolled, and utterly intense. Reaction 1. Explosive reactions. When a narcissistic woman is denied what she wants, she doesn't just get angry, she erupts. For her, not getting what she desires isn't a disappointment, it's an insult. In her mind, the world revolves around her. Love, attention, admiration, they are her oxygen. So when you pull that energy away, when you stop praising, stop complying, or simply stop reacting, she feels suffocated. And instead of enduring that discomfort, she fights back with fury, not to express emotion, but to reclaim control. This anger is not a normal argument, it's a calculated eruption, the raised voice, the cold stare, the dramatic accusations. Sometimes she may cry, slam doors, or flip into the role of the victim, all to make you feel guilty. Every move is instinctively designed to re-establish dominance, to make you feel that she still controls how you feel. For you, it's a moment of confusion and shock. A small comment, a minor disagreement, suddenly becomes the trigger for chaos. You try to calm her down, to explain, to make peace, but every word you say only fuels the fire. You start to fear upsetting her, fear losing the fragile peace, and slowly you shrink yourself to keep her calm. And right there, that's when she wins, not through reason, but through your fear. This is what psychologists call narcissistic rage, an extreme defensive reaction when their fragile ego feels threatened. And the most dangerous part? It doesn't just happen once. It returns again and again, every time they feel they're no longer the center of your world. Recognizing this pattern is the first step in understanding. You were never the cause, you were simply the target of their need for control disguised as love. And when the storm of rage subsides, the air may seem calm, but in truth, it's only the silence before the next wave. Reaction 2. The victim persona. If rage is fire, then victimhood is smoke, quieter, subtler, and far more suffocating. When anger fails to bring control, a narcissistic woman shifts her strategy. She begins to perform, playing the perfect role of the wounded soul. Her tone softens, her eyes fill with sadness, maybe even tears. Then come the tender but piercing words, "I just wanted to be understood, you really hurt me." And with your natural empathy, your heart gives in. You start to feel guilty, wondering if you've been too cold, too harsh. You reach out to comfort her, and in that moment, you step into the trap, because her goal isn't comfort, it's control. She wants you to take responsibility for her emotions. Once you do, you've already surrendered your power. She doesn't need to shout anymore. Your guilt becomes the leash that keeps you bound. The danger lies in how convincing this weakness feels. It makes you question yourself. Maybe I was too hard on her. Maybe I should be more understanding. But the truth is, you're being guided by emotion, not reason. She knows exactly how to strike the softest parts of you, your kindness, your empathy, your desire to heal the one you love. Psychologically, this is known as emotional manipulation. It's not loud or violent like rage, but it's far more dangerous because it makes you willingly hand over control. The more you comfort, the more you surrender, the more she learns that pretending to be weak is the most powerful way to dominate. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward freedom, because only when you stop believing in manufactured pain can you truly see the line between real love and emotional theater. And when tears or pleas no longer move you, she changes tactics, no longer controlling your emotions, but controlling your reality. Reaction 3. Twisting reality. This is one of the most dangerous tactics a narcissistic woman can use because it doesn't just confuse you, it makes you doubt yourself. When she can no longer manipulate you emotionally, she begins to manipulate the truth. The story between you two starts to shift. She denies things that happened, distorts your words, and accuses you of actions you never did. Every conversation becomes a maze of twisted logic that always ends the same way: you are at fault. You try to reason, to prove, but every piece of evidence you present gets dismissed. She tells you that you remembered wrong, that you're too sensitive, or that you're imagining things. And slowly, you start to question your own reality. Maybe I did remember it wrong. Maybe I really did hurt her without realizing. That's when gaslighting, psychological manipulation, takes hold. In psychology, gaslighting is considered one of the most insidious forms of abuse. It makes victims feel crazy, weak, and incapable of trusting themselves. When you no longer trust your own emotions, you become entirely dependent on the manipulator because she becomes the keeper of truth. And that's the ultimate goal: to control your perception of reality. A small example: you might find yourself apologizing for things you never did, or explaining feelings you never had. You start walking on eggshells, constantly checking every word, every reaction, afraid you'll get it wrong again. But the truth is, you are not wrong. You're just being led by someone who isn't seeking truth, but control over your perception of it. Understanding this pattern is a turning point. When you recognize someone trying to rewrite your memories, pause, breathe, and remind yourself, I know what happened. I don't need anyone to define it for me. Because the moment you trust your own reality again is the moment you take your power back. But when emotional manipulation and distortion of reality no longer work, she moves the battle to another field where her weapon is no longer sweet words, but your reputation. Reaction 4. Smear campaigns. This is the stage where the narcissistic woman declares war on your image. When she can't control you directly, she does something far more cruel. She manipulates how others see you. False stories are spun, versions of truth are selectively told, and subtle whispers are planted in the ears of those around you, all designed to paint you as the villain. She shares her story with trembling words, tearful eyes, and just enough pain to sound believable. And soon, you, the one who stayed silent, become the antagonist in your own narrative. This isn't just revenge, it's a survival strategy. In her world, image means everything. She needs to be seen as the victim, the wronged one, to restore the power she feels she's lost. And when you're isolated, when people start to question you, that's when she finally feels safe again because she has regained control of the narrative. What makes this so cruel is that it doesn't just erode your relationships, it corrodes your faith in yourself. You start asking, maybe I really am the problem. When friends avoid your eyes, when loved ones grow distant, the pain isn't just about rejection, it's about the collapse of trust. But remember, what's happening says nothing about your worth. It says everything about her fear, A narcissistic woman launches a smear campaign not because you're bad, but because you're no longer under her control. When she can't control how you feel, she'll try to control how the world sees you. That's how she protects her fragile ego at any cost. Recognizing this truth is your first act of freedom, because once you understand that her words are a strategy, not a reality, you no longer feel the need to defend yourself. Instead of fighting the story she invents, you can choose to step back calm, quiet, and patient, knowing that time will always reveal the truth. And then, when every word, every emotional trick, every rumor no longer works, she retreats not out of surrender, but to prepare for something far more subtle. Reaction 5. The silent treatment. This is the narcissistic woman's weapon of silence, a tool designed to make you feel as if you are slowly disappearing from her world. No messages, no calls, not even a glance, only the cold emptiness of absence. This silence is never accidental. It's calculated to leave you anxious, guilty, and desperate to fix something you don't understand. You start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? Did I hurt her somehow? And right there, she's regained control, not through confrontation, but through intentional withdrawal. In psychology, this is known as passive control, a form of emotional manipulation that uses absence as punishment. When a narcissist goes silent, they don't need to attack. They let your own empathy do the work. They know you can't stand the feeling of being ignored, that you'll do anything to restore harmony. So you text first, you call first, you explain, you apologize while she remains distant, calm, untouchable. Every attempt to reach her only reinforces her power. But here's the truth. This silence isn't about reflection or healing, it's a performance of dominance. To her, your worry is proof that she still controls your emotions. When you react, she wins. When you stay calm, she loses control. So the key lies in conscious stillness. See her silence not as punishment, but as a test, a chance to prove that your peace no longer depends on her approval. The moment you stop feeling the need to fix or explain, you take back your emotional power, and that is something no manipulator can stand. And when silence no longer gets a reaction, when you stop responding as before, she changes course softer, subtler, and far more dangerous. Reaction 6. Sudden charm. If her rage is a hammer, this charm is a velvet-coated blade. After days of distance and coldness, the narcissistic woman may suddenly return with a familiar smile, a gentle tone, and gestures that make you think, everything's okay again. She might text you, show concern, tell inside jokes, or act as if the past never happened. But don't be fooled, this isn't reconciliation. It's a strategic charm offensive to regain the control she lost. Her timing is perfect. Just when you've begun to heal, she reappears with tenderness that feels safe. You start to think, maybe I misunderstood her. Maybe she really cares. And that's when you let your guard down, stepping back into the same trap. Because for a narcissistic woman, charm isn't affection, it's a weapon. Every compliment, every soft glance, every gesture is a test to see if you're still emotionally available, still reactive, still controllable. What makes this tactic so powerful is contrast. The shift from cruelty to warmth confuses your emotional system. Your brain becomes hooked on the highs and lows, the anger, the silence, the sudden affection. Psychologically, this is known as trauma bonding, an attachment built from pain. When the person who hurts you is also the one who brings relief, you become addicted to the cycle without realizing it. Recognizing this pattern is freedom. When she suddenly becomes gentle, don't mistake it for love. True affection doesn't need chaos to prove its existence. Sudden kindness is a test, not a change of heart. And if you can meet that charm with calm, indifference, not resentment, not hope, that's when you know you're no longer caught in her emotional trap. Finally, when every emotional trick, every sweet word, every silence fails to shake you, she will walk away not out of heartbreak, but out of cold calculation. Reaction 7. Seeking new targets. A narcissistic woman doesn't leave because she stopped loving you. She leaves because she's run out of supply. For her, your admiration, compliance, and emotional reactions are the fuel that keeps her fragile ego alive. When you stop fearing her loss, when you no longer seek her approval, she feels as though she's staring into a mirror that no longer reflects her power. And so, she moves on to someone new, someone still eager to please, still easy to manipulate, still believing in the illusion she projects. At first, her departure feels unbearable. You loved her, you tried to fix things, you believed that with enough patience, she would change. But for a narcissistic woman, love is not about connection, it's about control. Once you stop being her emotional supplier, you lose your place in her world. She will quickly create a new narrative, a new image, and seek out her next source, someone untouched by the chaos you've survived. Ironically, with the new person, she will become charming again, gentle, attentive, radiant, just like she was with you in the beginning. She'll retell your story with herself as the victim, painting a picture of a woman who just wanted to be loved. And while the new person falls under her spell, you, the former partner, will stand outside the storm hurting, but awake realizing that what you had was never love, but a cycle. Yet this realization is also your freedom. Because the truth is, if someone can leave so easily, they were never really there. When she finds someone new, don't see it as your loss, see it as your liberation. In the narcissist's game, the one who stops reacting is the one who finally wins. In the end, all these behaviors, the rage, the victim act, the distortion of truth, the silent treatment, the sudden charm, and finally, the search for a new target form, one continuous cycle of emotional manipulation, anger to intimidate, weakness to bind, seduction to pull you back, and abandonment to prove dominance. The goal was never love, it was always control. But once you see that pattern clearly, once you understand the mechanism behind the chaos, you realize something powerful. You don't have to be afraid anymore. Because the truth is, you cannot change a narcissist. You can't teach them empathy or make them see the damage they cause. But you can change how you respond. You can learn to stay calm in the storm, to stop reacting, to say no without guilt. You can choose silence not out of fear, but out of clarity. If you've ever loved a narcissistic woman, remember this: you're not weak for having loved her. You were simply someone who believed too deeply, hoped too long, and forgot that true love should never require you to lose yourself. Stop trying to prove your worth to someone who can't see it. Instead, rediscover it within yourself. Because to a narcissist, love isn't connection, it's control. And the only way to win that game is to stop playing. Set firm boundaries. Protect your emotional energy. Seek out people who listen instead of judging. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means reclaiming the peace they once took from you. And when you finally walk away, know that it's not weakness, but strength. Because leaving isn't surrender, it's self-respect. When you walk away not out of fear, but out of understanding, that's when you've truly won.